I have no idea if this is gonna work. If the background music is too loud, I'm still gonna publish the fucking thing. And maybe you'll listen to it and maybe you won't. Where I wanted to start was, I just fucked it up, so I started over. The best fables. The best. I mean, there's, the Brothers Grimm and all those other fucking things that Disney puts out and shit like that. The best fables that I see most of the time online have to do with the fucking of like just vomiting of information that makes absolutely no sense by people who have never been in the industry of publishing. People just tell you all the shit about publishing that isn't true. They pretend that oh yeah, no, I like know something about publishing, and they have no fucking clue. Yeah, I like the way the music is breaking up in the background. In fact, I think I like that more than leaving it out. No, I'll leave it out. Let me move over here and just fucking stop that for 1 second, and I'm right back with you. Anyway, without Miles Davis, um, we have this conundrum, if you consider it that way. People talk about whether to self-publish or to publish traditionally, that is, through a publishing house, someone who actually pays you for your content. I shouldn't put it that way because lots of people get paid for crappy content and they put it on the internet and it just sucks anyway. But I'm talking about books right now, and not some fluffy fucking stupid uh, article that you wrote on how to count your fingers and toes. I do get tired of just imbeciles, and I'm sorry for that. And I guess my impatience shows, but it's all in good humor. It's like watching a sideshow, I mean, if you can't enjoy going to a sideshow when you're 7 years old, paying a nickel, and seeing the three-eyed man whose third eye was removed when he was a child, you lost your sense of imagination before you even grew up, and you're not getting that shit back. In any case, let's talk a little bit about what all these fucking people don't know anything about, because they haven't been in the business as long as I have, and they don't have hair like this. This was not even a dare. This was like just something that somebody fucking said something to me like, you need a haircut. And I said, yeah, no, that's true. And then I thought about like how I would like to cut my hair, and then I said, well, of course I want to make it a little bit Romanian. Who wouldn't want to do that? And then I want to make it a little bit like the namesake that everybody keeps mistakenly calling me when they hire me. Like, you're David Lynch? No, I'm Richard. David's not even like closely related to me as far as I know. Although he should be. And then there's Samuel Beckett, who had that weird rooster fucking thing going on. So I decided to do all three. That's why I have this, which is that's David, and Beckett is the semi-combed back fucking thing, and then the other person that I mentioned is everything else. Anyway, Self-publishing. 20 years ago, más o menos, more or less, for those who can't speak Spanish in a very, very basic way, um, it was frowned upon. And the reason was specifically for this. When you self-published, one, you had to pay to get it done, and it cost a fucking fortune. Two, it was not vetted. No one had to look at it and tell you that your fucking writing sucked or that it was great. There are a lot of things in between. This is my short pencil. I use this when I go on walks. Um, but there's a lot of things in between. You can have short, shitty writing. Well, I'm not going to go through all the variants. It doesn't make any sense. Generally, what would happen was you would try and get published with a real publisher who vetted your work, and then you were in the very small percentage of writers who got taken by an actual publishing house and got published by them, which meant that you didn't pay a fucking dime for anything. They would actually give you an advance, like even before you've started writing. In some instances, I've experienced that. And and then you'd write your fucking book. If you didn't write your book, depending on the contract, if you read it, always read your contracts. Don't just hand it over to a lawyer who's, they have no vested interest in like what you do. All they want to do is get their fucking fee. Screw them. Read your own contracts. Unless you're an imbecile, you can figure it out. But what it should say in there is not things like, if you do not deliver, you have to give the fucking advance back. No. Now, don't ever go for that shit. You're allowed to go for percentages. Like one time I had my percentage broken up into 5 parts. It had to do with I got one part initially, like before I even started writing. I said, look, you already know who I am. Just give me this much up front so that I can get some equipment that I need in order to write the book. They agreed to that. They sent me the money up front. Then I got like 4 quarters. You got first quarter, put in 25%, 50%, 75%, 100%. You were actually expected to do some revisions in between there, but it was an ongoing fucking process, and it wasn't a separate payment. But once you were done, once you got the 100% in, you got paid the full advance. And that never had to go back to the publisher, except in one instance, which I could outline, but that would take this fucking whole video on a completely different tangent. Criminal mentality of fucking the Peach Pit Press. Those fucking people. They tried to screw the author of the Photoshop Bible, and then they tried to write a clever little Santa Claus into my contract, and I read the contract, and they didn't expect that. Where they could have hired 6 different writers to write the same fucking book. I'm going to make this a short story. 6 different writers to write the same book, and then 6 months later they could have decided which book they wanted, and then fucking have all the rest of them pay back the advance that they had achieved. Oh no. Don't ever fucking sign a contract like that. I didn't. It was one of the most lucrative contracts on the planet at the time, and I did not sign it because they would not change that clause. And I don't write for free. But anyway, In traditional publishing, they pay you. You don't pay them. They give you an advance. You get money sometimes before you write or while you're writing. Both of those. Uh, you don't have to do any marketing. The company does most of the marketing for you. If you're an idiot, you do no marketing yourself. Um, Really clever thing that they do is they sell it in international markets, which is just fabulous. I mean, like, who the fuck would have thought that I could have sold my book in 10 different languages? Things like Japanese, Chinese, fucking Russian, there was Bulgarian, Italian. I don't know if you can hear these fucking tongues. This is so loud. Bulgarian, Italian. There was a Norwegian language. I don't know which one. Um, I don't think I got into German, and there were no African languages that I remember. But point being, all that shit is you can't put that into Google Translate and just do that yourself. It ain't gonna work. Your market increases from Indian. That was another one that was pretty big. Fucking I don't know if it was Hindi or something. Oh, in Spanish. I had to ask the publisher, and I said, there's several really big languages on the planet. One of them is English, and the other is Spanish. Can we translate into Spanish this time? They did that, and then I got this like fucking windfall when that book got published in Spanish. Surprise, surprise. Here's the author telling the publishing house what to do. Anyway, publishing houses are not this. Well, they are. They can be evil. I can give you stories about that. If somebody asks about them, I will tell you. I have evil stories about publishing houses. But on the other hand, if you work with them correctly, one, you don't need an agent. I never had one. I published with Macmillan, Pearson, Taylor and Francis, several other ones. I can't remember the fucking names. It doesn't matter because it keeps switching. Wiley was another. It is now another big one. When I first started, they were not all that huge. But point being, that one minor house moves around a lot. Like there may be an imprint that Wiley will sell to Pearson, or Pearson will sell to Macmillan, or Weight Group Press will sell to Macmillan, which is what happened to me. And there's a lot of weird shit that goes on as far as the business. You can't stop it. And sometimes they try and change the contracts on yours. They can't do. Unless you're an idiot, you let them do it. You sign, oh yeah, sure, you can not pay me anymore. You got to learn the things to avoid and not to avoid. Like KLM, great airline as far as I'm concerned. They solved all my problems when I had them. But that's a real view of what like traditional publishing does. Traditional publishing helps you sell more books globally and they put your books in actual places like Barnes and Noble, shit like that. You know how fun it is when you walk into a Barnes and Noble and you're walking around your little coffee piece of shit and then you see your own book on the shelf. Lots of people can't do that when they sell their shit on Amazon. Kindle doesn't do that for you. That may be just over glorification, but you cannot deny changing shit into different languages. That doesn't happen through Google Translate. Try it. Try Google translating anything you have written in English and send it to a Romanian and see what they get out of it. I can tell you right now, there's going to be next to zero It's like if you speak Spanish, you think you're speaking Portuguese. Fucking, you're an idiot. Anyway, so that's my spiel on traditional publishing, which happens to be a good thing. It proves that you're vetted. It proves that you have passed through some hoops that fucking people can't generally pass through. You're in the top percentage of writers to a certain extent. It's not always true. There are certain writers that fall through the cracks and they don't fucking get, published through traditional publishing because either the publisher or the reader or the person who, first saw their manuscript was not wary enough to understand that what they were writing was like really either groundbreaking, interesting, made for the market, didn't see how the market was supposed to be. They gave it to some fucking, slush pile reader, which I started my career doing that. It was sort of interesting. You you don't always know who's got the book that you sent in their hands, and that's a shame. Like, you can't trust that you got a fair shake ever. That's why you have to keep trying. But anyway, so that's the benefit of publishing with a traditional publishing avenue, and that's what a lot of fucking people leave out. A lot of people now, especially self publishers who have had some success with that, and even if they haven't, they just all go, "Oh well, I can't be controlled by a publisher." You're not controlled by a publisher. When I published with publishers, they didn't fucking tell me what to do almost ever. The only time they did was when I was writing in um, a series book. So, if you're writing for a dummies book, you have to fucking follow the outline for what a dummies book is. It's not fucking rocket science. Self-publishing 20 years ago, you were a piece of shit. You failed ridiculously at trying to get published traditionally. So you did this weird ass thing where you paid some fucking idiot to design your book, put it in hardcover. It was almost always hardcover. And then they would charge you a fortune to print out a whole bunch of them so that you can keep them in your garage or in your basement until oh fuck, my little thing is going beep 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 and I'm gonna pause. That's the extent of what I do with my editing. Anyway, the beep beep beep. No, when you were self-publishing, you you'd failed essentially. You'd spend all this money, you'd get these books sent to you, you'd put them in your garage or your basement, and you'd wait till they molded so fucking badly that you had to throw them all out or put them on the bonfire, maybe to keep your house warm because you put your family in debt, shit like that. Uh, you didn't want to self-publish. Now it's a different thing. I work with people who self-publish and they actually do very well. But they also do niche books. They don't try and publish, just like vampire fiction, and they don't, they don't try and get into really, really competitive markets if they want to do very well, or they research their market first and then they write to that market. Now, a lot of that is going to have to do with nonfiction, which is not always the thing that people choose to write first. I went to school for writing fiction, and I ended up writing nonfiction for money, reasonably good money. And the reason for that is you can define a nonfiction market. Say that you're trying to train people to use oh Photoshop, which is what I wrote 9 books on. You can do that. books on parenting, on hitting a baseball. What other books have I written? Uh, China, Japanese fiction. There are a lot of things that you can target that that you can sell. But if you just write generally fiction and you're going like, oh no, I'm gonna be the next J.K. Rowling because I have this great idea, or I'm gonna be J.R.R. Tolkien, or I'm gonna be whomever. I'm gonna be Stephen King because I'm writing a great horror. Fuck you. You're an idiot. You're going to be competing with 9 billion other fucking people. 9 billion, that's too many. At least 9 million. Let's go 9 million. Because 9 billion, there are only 7 point something, or I think maybe 8 billion by now, people on the planet. And all of them don't try and write. Self-publishing is not a bad thing. I've worked with several self-publishers who do very well. For example, there's one guy who he was into. Well, he wrote a book on AIDS and rollerblading during the '80s, which was a personal story, and it got a lot of attention. I worked with him on that, and he, he's written I don't know how many books at this point, but he does very well in a niche market of LGBTQB2, or however many fucking letters they have in that thing now. Um, I'm not putting down anybody with alternate lifestyles. I just don't understand like how many fucking letters you need there. How about S and A for straight and alternative? What the fuck? Why do you need to have so many fucking letters? So you need to be identified singly? Fuck you. I I happen to like a lot of people who have alternative lifestyles. I might even have one of my own. But fucking goddamn. Like, why do you have to enumerate them? It just gets confusing after a point. But anyway, back to the point. You can self-publish now. You can make it work. It is not the only way that you make it work, and you make more money per book when you sell it. Yeah, you do. But the difference between selling 1,000,000 books over 20 languages is perhaps equivalent to selling 20 books over one language and moving to the top of the charts in top of the charts, you not even budging the charts in vampire fiction, for example. So lots of people tell you the lie that oh, definitely go self-publishing because it's the best way to go. In some ways I can't argue, but if you hear the dogs outside, these things are so annoying. I don't know why Spanish people can't keep their fucking dogs under control. But you make more money per copy, but now you're selling the book on Kindle. Well, you're selling a 99-cent book. The 99-cent book that you sell on Kindle earns you whatever fucking percentage. I don't care if they give you 80%. You're earning less than $1 a copy. I sold my $40 books through traditional publishers, and if I sold it through my website, somebody would click on a button They would buy my book, and I would make $6 a copy. How do I know that? It was $40 on the cover. Um, I would get a percentage from Amazon on the cover copy or the cover price, and then I would also get payment from the publisher. That worked out pretty well. So for each book that I was selling, and if I sold 20,000, 30,000, I would make a fuckload of money, and it was pretty good. When you're sitting there in your chair someday and you're looking through the mail and you open up a $28,000 check, which happened to me one time, that you were not expecting, it pays for a lot of fucking shit. When you sell 28,000 copies of any book on Amazon, I will be fucking surprised. So, there's a realistic take on what it is to publish and self. Oh, by the way, in self-publishing, you also have to. Which fucking people never shut up here. I swear to God. You also have to, do your own editing, or pay someone to do it. You have to do your own design, or pay someone to do it. You have to do your own indexing, or pay someone to do it. You have to do your own covers design, or pay someone to do it. You have to do your own marketing, or pay someone to do it. You have to set up your own website or pay someone to do it. You have to do your own networking or pay someone to do it. These are all things that fucking people don't take into consideration when it comes to marketing a fucking book. And that's why there's a choice between self-publishing and publishing. If you have a big name, if your name is fucking Tony Robbins, right, and you're going to be putting out a new book, do you think that you really need a publisher? I could argue that you don't, because you got enough people that the next book that you fucking put out, you're going to sell 3 billion copies. And you're going to be fucking a zillion fucking air, and you're probably not even going to write the book yourself. All you're going to do is like toss off an outline to somebody like this idiot, and they're going to write it up for you. And then they're going to get like some minimal sum, and you're going to rake in the shit, and you're going to build another castle. Well, there you go. Are you Tony Robbins? If not, you need to rethink your plan, because being vetted means that you become somebody who's well respected. Stephen King was fucking not a self-published author. Think about that. Neither was J.K. Rowling, neither was just any of the fucking people that you happen to know off the top of your head. None of them were self-published authors. Name 3. Put it in the comments. I'd like to see. Anyway, that's the reality of publishing. Not this other bullshit that you're hearing from like all these other fucking dimwits who have not been in publishing as long as, well, I said that backwards. They've not been alive as long as I've been in publishing. And they don't know the history of it. They have no fucking clue what they're talking about. And they don't have a haircut that's this cool. I don't know that it's cool. I just did it. Anyway, now it's time for your input. I'd like to hear from you about, what you have to do about this, or, what you'd like me to do a video about. And I'll try and enlighten you. But what you shouldn't do is listen to all these fucking bullshitters who tell you, oh no, self-publishing is the only way to go. It's a fucking bunch of shit. Just like most of this fucking advice you get from all these bimbos and twits and fucking yahoos who do videos on YouTube. Who of course are not me. Have a nice day.